All right, and we're back here on Couch Coach Live. Another Tuesday night under the lights here on Couch Coach Live. What's going on, Mal?
What's up, man? How you doing, Couch Coach?
Everything good, man. Just got finished with the preseason. Today was cut day, so it
Mm-hmm.
started beginning to look like Christmas all of a sudden. So it's
Right, right.
finally coming and then obviously we had week 0 in college football. Now we're gonna have a full slate of college football this weekend, and yeah, it's here. It's
Right,
the
right.
time we've been waiting for. So it's here.
So Marlon Wayans, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you like that, yeah,
Right,
it's
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. That was yeah.
Great
It was
interview,
kind of a
man.
quick, and definitely, huge shout out to our guy Darrell Owens from Legacy Maker Sports, man. Always a great friend of mine in this business. He's gave me so much like advice and feedback. Like every time I've done something, like, hey, run it back, like ask him questions and seek his
Mm-hmm.
advice. And also, in times that we're able to, see him at event stuff, we get to chop it up. So it's always just great to have, somebody like a Darrell that's a friend and someone that you can, as far as almost like a role model in the sense, like a role model sense, and more so like that, more of a mentorship. I put it that way, not a role model, but more so like a mentorship type of relationship that we have. And I definitely appreciate him, always giving me advice and pointers and stuff. So yeah, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
getting encouragement because um, you got to get a little, get a little. I don't want to say tough in the business, but you get to some points, some lows in your, in this, and you could have like guys like him to kind of help you, kind of lift your spirits, kind of just help you out and navigate through this craziness for sure.
Right.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was really fun to talk because normally I don't get those type of
Yeah.
opportunities, so it was great to
Right.
kind of yeah. So yep.
Yeah, you usually be the interviewer rather than the one being interviewed. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. I don't know when it's gonna be released, but I talked to some young ladies at the Raceway a couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago, and they was like, "Yeah, we want to interview." I'm like, "Me?" Like, I'm not used to that. I've been
Right.
on shows, but it's kind of one of the things where it's like, yeah, absolutely,
Right.
for sure, like, yeah, but yeah, so
Right.
yeah, so we got a great show for tonight. So we're actually going to conclude our 9-part NFL preview series, and it is officially done. That's usually always it's kind of a good point because now it's like we know we're getting ready to head into the regular season. So now that kind of that summer period of the show kind of concludes in a sense where we go from really essentially going from the NBA finals, draft, free agency, and then we somewhat get to this point where we start talking football, and it's like pretty much full speed ahead from now till Super Bowl essentially. So yeah, we're gonna close it out tonight. So in this folder, I have everything that you need as far as who's going to be your Super Bowl winner, who's all the awards. So tonight we're going to talk about, in a sense, kind of recapping kind of our preview the last 8 shows where we'll talk about, we'll list our divisional winners, who'll be our wild cards. I know last week I was a little indecisive of who's going to be my 7th seed in the NFC and a couple other divisions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll talk about we'll do some of our predictions. Well, how about clairvoyant hats on, which I always like when we can kind of like do these type of exercises where we kind of predict it. And I hope this year because I want to try to incorporate that during Super Bowl week where look at our picks and like where did we go wrong. And it's funny because and you know what? And I should matter of fact I'm gonna pull up odds from last year if I can, at some point tonight and kind of look at it and be like, it showed kind of how wrong we were and right about certain things. So we'll talk about our MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, all the awards, comeback player, you name it. We'll talk about that as well. And then we'll round out with our Super Bowl 59 winner who will hoist the Lombardi and in New Orleans in Super Bowl 59. So without further ado, what we're going to do, we're going to kick that intro, and we'll conclude our 11th annual Couch Coach Live NFL preview. Yes, and we do like that. Shout out to my guy Big Kirko. He'll be back on the field in a few days, but suiting up for the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons might do a little something. We'll kind of talk about the Atlanta Falcons shortly, potentially. And our 11th annual Couch Coach Live NFL preview is powered by SeatGeek. Head over to SeatGeek, use the promo code Couch Coach to get yourself $20 off your first purchase by using our promo code Couch Coach. It is that time of the year. NFL's get ready to start. College football, so it's tons of matchups, tons of games that you can go to. Hey, head over to SeatGeek, use that promo code Couch Coach, and give you a little something off the price. Hey, what I do that I can for you. So
right.
As we kind of talked about it, we went over in our preview as far as who's going to be our divisional winners and what have you, kind of how we had who's going to win each division. So we also going to be more of a recap. So what we'll do, we're going to list our divisional winners. If you haven't watched the other 8 shows, shame on you, but hey, we'll get you kind of caught up. So, how we'll do this is essentially we'll start with the AFC. So I have them in order, like as far as my seeding, like 1 through 7. So as far as your divisional winners are going to be your first 4 teams, the winners of those divisions. You could do it 1 through 4, or you could do 4 through 1, but either or. I just have it in that particular order because when I kind of talk about the playoffs, it all kind of makes sense how I kind of had certain things there. So, who's your divisional winners?
My divisional winners, I got 1 through 4 is AFC was Steelers, Dolphins, Colts, Chiefs. In the NFC was Detroit. Okay. My bad.
You said Steelers, Dolphins, Colts, and who else?
Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna start with in the AFC first. Yeah, we'll do the AFC.
I got you.
Yeah. All right. So the AFC. So I got the Ravens, the Chiefs, Jets, and Colts. All right. And then let's see for your NFC, who do you got?
I got for the NFC, I got Detroit, the Falcons, the 49ers, and the Eagles.
All right. So I got the Lions, the 49ers, the Falcons, and the Eagles. Yeah. So So I have that as well. Yeah, Detroit, San Fran, Philly, and then All right. So we'll do your AFC wild cards first. So you'll have 3 wild cards. Who are your 3 wild cards?
My 3 wild cards are the Ravens, the Texans, and the Jets.
All right. So I got the Cincinnati Bengals, the Miami Dolphins, and the Houston Texans. All right. And who you got in the NFC, pardon me.
I got the Packers, the Seahawks, and Couch Coach's Commanders.
Oh, come on now. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
So I got the Packers, Rams, and Commanders. Because when we did the show last week,
mm-hmm.
I had Washington and Dallas tied at 9-8.
Me too.
And then I had them winning week 18, which now I'm leaning towards it now. Definitely now we found out the news. Obviously we did the show last Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and Deron Bland is out for 6 to 8 weeks. So that's another key injury for that team. So you know, so that's the thing. So that's what I have is in there. The
Mm-hmm.
NFC, the AFC, the way I have it, it is gonna be so tight. Like as far as
Yeah.
like I know this may not. It sounds crazy to think, looking at it on as we doing it live here on August 27th. What's gonna be crazy is I really think you're gonna have to win 11 games in the AFC to make the
Right.
playoff. You
Right.
it's so many teams, and when I look back, because I think even the Chargers, I think I had them winning 10 games. I think I had them 11-6, and that's crazy to think they could literally be the 8th best team at 11-6 record. Like I had a lot of teams. Like I think I had the Chargers kind of teetering well, the Bills, which is kind of we always know like how teams, as far as half of the playoff teams from last year don't make it the following.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had to add some stuff because the way the NFC was set up, I'm like, well, everybody pretty much made the playoffs for the exception of the Falcons and then who I had as the Commanders. So I was like, I had to have some form of new blood in there because I literally
Right.
I could have put Dallas in the spot. Hell, I could have made a case for Tampa Bay potentially, but no.
Right.
And then in the AFC, obviously, when you look at just like the difference, obviously the Colts, because I think the Colts were they were really an overthrow away from making it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the Jets not making it last year, obviously, because Aaron Rodgers gets hurt essentially the first drive of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and then you look at Cincinnati with what happened with Joe Burrow. So you had to kind of do something, not do some extra, but as far as knowing that, kind of following that trend where we know like every team that made the playoffs in 2023 definitely isn't going to make it in 2024. That's just the way it always works with parity and all, just that and third. But yeah, so all right, so we got to talk about so it's going to be really interesting. So now we got to talk about our that's right. I didn't get to that part yet. So let's so we'll talk about our AFC champion. So basically, pretty much who's going to represent the AFC in the championship. If you want to put like who your champion is going to go against the conference championship, that's fine because I actually included who they were going to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll start with the AFC. So who's going to represent the AFC in Super Bowl 59?
Chiefs. The way I got it set up, man, it ended up being the wild card was let me see, was the Chiefs versus the Ravens, and then the Chiefs played the Steelers, and then because my whole setup was, and nobody's really like putting a lot of emphasis on it. They have the chance to make history. And as much as I want the Steelers to win a championship, I would love to see a team because I like Andy Reid. You can. Why would you dislike Patrick Mahomes? I mean, you could say he cry a lot or this, and that, but the way he plays and he represents something, and I would love to see a team like that to actually win 3 straight Super Bowls. And you will look at them completely different than the Patriots. It'll definitely be a new day in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So the way I have it set up to represent the AFC as I have the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah, and I also had the Chiefs too. I have them beating Cincinnati. It's kind of one of those where I kind of it was strange because I obviously how I had it set up because I think Kansas I think Baltimore gonna have the number 1 seed I think again in the AFC. I think what's gonna happen is Cincinnati is gonna go there fresh off of a wild card win over the Colts. So I think I actually have Cincinnati as the 5th seed in the AFC, and because they will be the lower seed because I don't think because I did because essentially my first round matchups I would have pretty much Kansas City would play the Texans and I think they'll beat them, and then I also had the Jets and the Dolphins, and I think I had the Jets winning that game. And then I also had the Bengals beating the Colts. And then with them being a lower seed, they go to Baltimore, and I think they beat them in the divisional round. And then the Jets go to Kansas City and lose. So that's why I think I think that Cincinnati is going to go to Arrowhead and play them in the AFC Championship game. And I think Kansas City will pull off. I think it'd be another classic, Burrow Holmes type of battle, but Kansas City prevails.
Yeah, I have in the championship, I actually have the Texans versus the Chiefs.
Okay. All right. So in the NFC, who you got representing the NFC?
Detroit. He cracked me up. Good. Yeah, man. I have. Let me see. I got the Eagles versus the Packers, and then I had the 49ers versus Seahawks, and let me see, make sure I ain't mess up. Yeah, and then the Falcons versus the Commanders, and in the game it ended up being the Packers versus Detroit in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, so I actually, so I got the Lions as the number one seed in the NFC. So so essentially how I had it, 49ers versus the Commanders. I got the 49ers winning. I got the Eagles versus the Rams. I got the Rams beating them. Then I got the Falcons playing Green Bay. And then in a weird way, I think they'll beat Green Bay. So then that leaves. Then we got a reunion of Matthew Stafford going back. Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit, and I think they're gonna lose again. And the Lions will host their first ever NFC Championship game.
Right.
I think ever. I don't think they ever hosted the NFC Championship game.
Oh, really?
And I got them beating San Francisco in NFC Championship.
I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Correction. I had the 49ers versus. It's going to be Detroit versus the Falcons.
Okay, you got the Falcons.
The Lions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got the 49ers. I think they just got an easy road. I think going to because they really essentially pretty much 2 home games. They'll play Washington, and then they'll beat the Rams. So then that gives them a way to go to Detroit, and then I think Detroit take care of the business at home. Yep.
Right.
All right.
So hold on. So okay, we'll talk about that later because I think we got the same Super Bowl for some reason.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Can't see it in Detroit. Yeah, can't see it in Detroit.
Right.
But we may have different winners.
Oh,
I just put it that way.
I got you.
I just put it that way. Don't be surprised.
Right.
All right. So we gotta go. So obviously, I'm gonna play it out almost like Super Bowl week, where you get we know the matchup before we had New Orleans. Now we had NFL honors, so it's usually that Thursday before the Super Bowl. So we're playing almost like Super Bowl week. So who is going to be your MVP of this season?
I got Patrick Mahomes. I got Patrick Mahomes because, from an offense standpoint, he's got, he still has Kelsey to be a security blanket to move the chains. He has 2 deep threats now. He hasn't really had that since Tyreek Hill and Xavier Worthy, who just broke the 40 record 3 months ago, and Holiday Brown. And last time he had a deep threat, he won MVP with Tyreek Hill. And he got, some help with a little short game with Rashid Rice. So, I think, it's weird, man. Like the Chiefs supposed to be, they not really talk about them much. I don't think they get the pub as they should to be, back-to-back champions and maybe would be able to win a third one. It's just strange. It's like they don't really have that much pressure. It's like it's more pressure on Aaron Rodgers than it is the Chiefs. But I got Patrick Mahomes.
I got in a strange way. My class of 2002 brethren, Aaron Rodgers. I got a strange feeling Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles, even at the age of 40, he'll be 41 in November. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's playing pissed off, and I even like how he played. As far as that play, but as far as how he's able to recover real quickly, he was able to walk, look comfortably, no limp around December. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that's a great sign, and I think I think he's ready to show like, hey, even at this in the twilight of my career, I'm gonna ball out, and I'm gonna show guys that I can still play in this league. And then obviously to coincide with the Jets being 11-6 in my estimation, so it's got to be kind of one of those where most of the awards will be kind of predicated kind of how the record that I have these teams slated in. So I definitely think if he leads a Jets team to 11-win season, they're definitely gonna be really successful. So I definitely think he will fit that bill. So I definitely think it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. He's my MVP.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So who's gonna be your offensive player of the year?
I'm gonna say B.J. Robinson from
Okay.
the Falcons, but how do you pronounce his first name? Is it B. Jean?
Bijan,
Bijan?
Bijan, yeah, Bijan
Okay,
Robinson,
BJ
yeah,
Bijan Robinson. I think the Falcons, this is their time where they've added everything and they like we want to win it. I think just so I'm gonna give it to him. I think with the new coach and the new defensive player they just picked up, I just think they got everything. Yeah, so I think they got everything. I think I'm gonna give it to him. It's gonna be.
yeah,
I think, and it's gonna because I think Cousins is still going to play. I know the quarterback they drafted. I think they could start him, but I think all that money they paying Cousins, I think him having a running back because he's great at play action. So, man, I'm gonna give it to him.
yeah. Uh, Matt's gonna be. I got Tyreek Hill. Um,
Okay.
I definitely think. And he's another one where he should have kind of low key should have won it last year. I mean, be honest with you,
Right.
almost. I think he was 17. Yeah, so he almost had 1,800 yards in 16 games. So
Mm,
if he stays healthy, just imagine if he stays healthy the whole entire
right.
17 game season, which I mean, it's easy to say now. We talk about we're here in August, but he can literally be a 2,000-yard receiver potentially going into the season. So if he hits that mark, which I think he probably will, if healthy, he can hit that 2,000 mark, and he's already. And then considering the fact that he was, ranked as the #1 best player in the league by his comrades in the NFL.
Hmm.
So I think he just adds on to this layer for Tyreek Hill. But yeah, I got a cheater. Plus people coming for him too. Even like y'all boy Noah Lyles, he coming for him, all kind of stuff. So yeah, he got yeah. Don't get the cheater mad.
Right.
Yeah. All
I
right.
ain't mad at that.
Yeah. So who is your defensive player of the year?
Since I got my Steelers being so successful this year, I had to give it to somebody because I didn't give another one to someone. So I'm gonna give it to Watt, TJ Watt.
Okay.
If he can stay healthy, even him and Miles Garrett, like they're always right there. So I'm gonna give it to him. I really think this year he's gonna strive to stay as healthy as he can.
Yeah. Um. It's kind of one of the things where I really this was kind of a tough one for me. Uh, I thought I think the option would be like Miles Garrett, like you said, T.J.
Hmm.
Watt.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's gonna be Michael Parsons. I think he finally gonna get. I know I predicted this like two
Yeah.
years ago. I definitely think this year. I think it'll be obviously with him it being a contract year, and I
Yep.
do like the pairing of him and Mike Zimmer.
Hmm.
Like I said, and we talked about it last week in NFC East preview, where you think of Dallas and you think of like you might have thought they had a fall off because obviously Dan Quinn is in Washington, Joe Witt Jr. is in, and then obviously you lose couple of guys on that squad that went with him to Washington. But you bring in a guy like a Mike Zimmer, it's like he's literally the perfect fit for this team. Where, and I definitely think him and Mike, I definitely think, I could definitely have a great relationship. I don't know if it was rocky from the start. I know they didn't, as far as communicate with each other initially.
Hmm.
I think that was somewhat of an issue. But I think once, I think everything is good now. But it then with him having, like I said earlier, a contract year, and this is a year for him to prove it. Where So he's gonna show like, hey, I'm one of those guys, and I deserve to be paid handsomely. So I
Right.
think this will be his year.
I almost picked him. I did almost picked him because I do feel like um this is one of those years where it's a contract year and he's gonna step up because the Cowboys really drag their feet paying their players.
Yeah.
But it's all good. They
Hey,
pay him though.
hey, you pay him. Hey,
Yeah.
they got it done before September the 8th. That's all they had to worry about before they went to Cleveland. They got him. They got him his money. So
Right.
So hey, just do what you do. All right. So we got. Let's see. We got our offensive rookie of the year. Who's your offensive rookie of the year?
Dun dun dun. He's already starting. He's going to be the face of this new era of this team. I'm not a Commanders fan, but I do represent DMV, and I know how much that I'm giving it to Jaden Daniels, but I know how much that team mean to the DMV, especially to the city of Washington. You know what I mean? And for him to, just like when RG3 was there, but I don't want to compare that. I want him to that. I want them to learn from their mistakes. I think he has a good chance. You know what I'm saying? Especially where they're at is just make it to. You don't have to win the division, just make it to the playoffs. You know what I mean? So I'm giving it to Jaden Daniels.
It's kind of one of those where I thought about it because, and this more so based on kind of how I had everybody slated from a record perspective. I really want to lean towards potentially giving it to Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is probably, obviously he's the odds-on favorite for it because of the type of weapons that he has. He has literally 3 good wide receivers in Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and then Rome Duzier. And, so you look at, he'll have the more weapons than Jay Daniels. But I think of the success of the Commanders is going to be predicated on a player, Jaden Daniels. You look at kind of like how he looks. He's, I was able to throw the ball, quick release, being able to kind of look at even though the schemes in the preseason are kind of vanilla, but he was able to kind of go through his motions, do the check downs, do his reads, and he looked good. He looked really good in those 2 games that he played. Well, essentially, the first game he played 1 series, and then the second game he played in the first quarter. So you just look at it from there. But somewhat of a dark horse. I don't know, for some odd reason. I know we talked about Bo Nix almost like in a laughingly way, like 4 weeks ago when we started on the 30th of July. But what I've seen, since since I've since in these 3 weeks of the preseason, I mean, he's been looking pretty good. I definitely think Sean Payton's definitely gonna put him in positions where I think I think he could do some stuff in Denver. I still think Denver still ways away from a record perspective, but I think he will kind of show some signs that that it was kind of worth for him to make that 12th overall pick. That I know a lot of people looked at that as like part of one of the biggest reaches between him and Michael Penix Jr. But it's kind of one of the things where, like we talked about it in the draft, where it's like it's not necessarily it's not a reach because those guys were getting picked. So it's like it was desperate. It's like if it's only one, if you go to a store and it's only one item left, you're not going to leave the store, come back tomorrow and think that item that you wanted yesterday going to be there the next day. That wasn't, so that's why, Denver, and most people's opinion, thought they got desperate. They got a guy that probably was maybe a late first round, second round pick, but somebody's going to scoop him up, But yeah, so it's definitely, to me, it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I definitely think he will be the offensive rookie of the year for sure. All right, so now let's talk about our defensive rookie of the year. Who you got?
Okay, now I'm not a big football guy, but I know the basics. So when it comes to these awards, from what I'm hearing, it's really hard for a tackle to get it. And I was going back and forth. I was going to give it to Turner that plays for the Lions, and I said to hell with it. this is the person that shined out to me. 6 foot, 306 pounds, defensive tackle from the Texas Longhorns. He was defensive lineman of the year in 2023. And he is with the Seahawks right now. His name is Brian Murphy II. And I believe that he is with what's his name, Mike McDonald, coming from the defensive coordinator from the Ravens. I believe this is his. You know how when you start a team, you have that one player that says you're going to represent me. You're going to show the change from what they've had for so long time. I think this guy is it. The way they have to triple team him and double team him, and the way he still can hold and push that offensive line to open up for those linebackers is going to be crazy. I don't know if he's going to get it, but I do think, and from what I was looking at all today, he's in everybody's like least top 5. So I'm giving it to him. Byron Murphy II, Seattle Seahawks, defensive tackle.
Yes, I'm gonna give mine to Jared Verse.
Okay.
He went to the perfect situation. I know, when you look like, because he slipped a little bit. I know a lot of people had him going as early as like I think the Bears had him at like 8th. When they select Rome Duzier, a lot of people thought they would get Jared Verse, but I think now him coming off that edge with the Rams, obviously he got big shoes to fill. Obviously, with as far as not Aaron Donald's no longer there with the team. He's retired. So I think he got a good shot. And they got some guys on that line that's definitely going to help him get to the quarterback. So I definitely think it's going to be Jared Verse. I think Jared Verse is kind of one of those where he was like kind of like the darling of the draft in the sense where people were really lauding and applauding of him. And so I definitely think, he was someone that, a lot of people was really high on. And I definitely think him going to the Rams, obviously, I think the success of the Rams too can kind of help that along as well. So
Yep.
All right. So who's gonna be your coach of the year?
Coach of the year. I wanted to give it to Raheem Morris, but then I realized that it should have went to DeMarco Ryans last year, but they gave it to Stefanski, right?
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski. Yeah,
they gave it to Kevin Stefanski.
Which and I understand why they did that.
Right.
Yeah, because 5 quarterbacks, you playing 5 quarterbacks, and you still make the playoffs. Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna give it to the Demeco. Did I say you say his name? Or DeMarco?
D'Amico. Yeah,
D'Amico Ryans. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Texas head coach.
All right. So I'm torn.
It's like I was.
Can
we do a cold one?
I mean, you can. Because I was gonna do a cold one.
So okay, so I'm giving it to Raheem Morris and the Ryans.
All right. So yeah, I'll just use yours as D'Amico, but
all right.
As far as from the graphic standpoint, but
all
right. If I'm gonna go like I said, my awards are gonna be kind of predicated on the success of teams.
Right.
So it's between Dan Campbell and Robert Saleh. Dan Campbell, hell, I don't care what happens, unless you have a Kevin Stefanski situation where you flying a quarterback coach the week before Thanksgiving for him to start a game. But for the Detroit team, for me to have them be 13-4, pretty much that would be their best season of their franchise, essentially. So I look at it like that. But then Robert Saleh, like if he's 11-6 in that division and he wins that division, when you have a team like the Miami Dolphins, you have a team like the Buffalo Bills, and you're able to kind of overcome that. And so it's kind of like, so it's kind of one thing. If I had to settle on one, it'll probably be Dan Campbell, because I think if the Detroit Lions, if I had them at 13-4, that's undeniable. Unless, like you said, unless you have a situation where a team is operating with 5 quarterbacks, somebody's on a chartered flight, week before Thanksgiving, to play a game. So yeah, it's gonna be Dan Campbell for me. All right.
Right. I almost gave it to Campbell until I heard the story about, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, well, I'm really, if you pay attention, I'm really pushing the Falcons. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was like, compared to where they were, and I was like, and he's a new head coach. And I was like, well, I'm gonna give it to D'Amico. Um, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have given it to Dan Campbell too. I get it. You know what I mean? I got one
Yeah.
question though.
Mhm.
How come nobody says Andy Reid?
Because it speaks to my point because it's expected for him. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like Kansas City, they've been in the in the AFC Championship game since 2017. Essentially, I don't think they've missed. And I kind of think about it since Patrick Mahomes started since what his first year was that 2017 season. Well, no, he really started in 2018. So you got to think to yourself, they've been in the AFC Championship game since Patrick Mahomes has been their starting quarterback. That's almost 7 years of him, and they always, and they've always been a number one seed, essentially, for the exception of last year. They've hosted an AFC Championship game all but one time. Like it's to a point now. Hell, even they was even going to AFC Championship games when Tom Brady was in New England. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady on Fox. He's getting roasted. So it's like he thinks he's like, God, that's been a long, and that's why I didn't like the whole like the Patrick Mahomes thing because, and I always said this is the scary thing about Patrick Mahomes was because he's gonna always be deemed he's an overachiever and people are going to not appreciate
Right.
like what
Because
he
they're not.
does. Right. And
Right.
that was always my biggest fear with Patrick
Right.
Mahomes when he started so early. Because he did win MVP in 2019,
Right.
I think. And he had that 50-something touchdowns. And then what's going to happen is anytime he gets less than that 50 or whatever,
Right.
it's just like, okay, he just had a regular year. But I'm like, that's still a good year.
Right.
But in his standards, it's below average.
How many? You got 2 MVPs, right?
Who, Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
I don't think he got one.
He got one.
Let me check. Yeah.
I think yeah, he got one. He got one. He got one.
I think he won.
Yeah,
I know he won. I know he won one. I don't know if it's his first year or his second year.
I think he got one. Aaron Rodgers got 2.
Yes.
Or 3.
Let's see. Oh yeah. So okay. So he had 2 times. So he won in 2018 and 2022. So that's right. He did win in 2022.
Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So okay, this is what I'm getting to. I know we got to move on. We got one more we got to do. I got it. So my question is, when you're looking at Patrick Mahomes and you're looking at Andy Reid, when are we going to start really looking at them like they comparing them to the Patriots? Because he got how many MVPs did Tom Brady got? What, one or?
As far as league MVPs or just like
MVPs? Yeah, league MVP.
Because he's won one recently too, I think.
Yeah.
So Tom Brady, let's see. So he got 3.
He got 3 MVPs. Okay. So and then and that's what 20 years over 20 years playing.
23, 24. How many years?
23, 24.
So he had drafted in 20. So he got drafted in 2000. Then he retired at the end of the 2022 season. So that's 23 seasons.
23 seasons. And you looking at Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how much longer Andy Reid going to be there. But, man, you got to look at that run and be like, because it's really towards the end of Andy Reid's career. But you start looking. But that's what I'm saying. Nobody really talks about them like that. They just look at them like, yeah, y'all supposed to be there. They don't talk about the Chiefs like they're superior. That's what's strange. You know what I mean? Like they really don't have no pressure. They just make their way in. Let's win a division, or let's just get in the playoffs and do what we do. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think the weird thing about it all is I think a lot of people look at like who's going to catch up to him. I think more so than anything, where it's like, because the more focus is on Lamar getting it done, Josh Allen getting it done.
Right.
Because even though we don't really like you think about because we really never talk about Joe Burrow in that type of like the pressure
Right.
because he's beat him before, so it's kind of one of those where it's like that's been the biggest thing. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just one of those where it's just like I think it's just expected. I think that's what it.
Right.
And then when it's a dynasty of that type of nature, even the Patriots were hated. The Patriots were really hated. So
right.
it's kind
really
of one of those where I think, and you look at even this run, I think it's like everything. I think once it's all said and done with, people appreciate it more because even in this Patriot run, it was marred by Spygate, Deflategate,
right,
stuff like that. So a lot of people really there, but now you're starting to see once like this Patriot situation has gone, and Tom Brady's gone, Bill Belichick's gone. So now people, they look back at those type of moments. But I mean, yeah, I think and I think it will, and I think you'll see a lot of it if they're successful this year. And I think it might be the best thing for them that is somewhat kind of under the radar because a lot of people aren't, like you said, the biggest storyline coming into the season isn't. I mean, for me it is, but for certain people, the biggest storyline isn't necessarily okay. Well, Kansas City do a 3-peat, which I think I don't know. I don't really know. As far as the narrative is that concerned, but I mean, this might be a good thing for them. Where it's like they just fall on the radar, like they've always done.
Yeah,
that's what I was. Get it done. Yeah,
right, and that's what I was telling. I know we got to move on, man, but that's what I was telling. What's his name, Mar, and he was kind of like, "Mar, what you talking about?" I said, "Man,
Wildcard Mar, yeah,
Wildcard Mar." I was telling him, I said, "I know that's your team, but." For them to be really like almost like a dynasty after the Patriots, I said they don't get as much publicity. They just say, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes is special," and they don't talk about Andy Reid a lot. You know who they really do talk a lot about, and he don't even pay for them nowhere. It's Tyreek Hill. He get more publicity than them.
Yeah, because he balling. He's yeah.
And Kelsey, because and shout out to them, man. I just heard they got a new $100 million deal, but because of those Taylor Swift people. You know what I'm saying? Like. It's almost like, to me, that's why they kind of did that so they could get more publicity because they are really like a dynasty.
I mean, yeah, to an extent, but yeah, and like I always looked at the whole Taylor Swift thing was kind of more. I thought, I didn't think it was gonna be a distraction, but it's just more so. It just added where you just add a new layer of a demographic where you have, essentially what is it? Maybe like 14 to 18. Well, what 7 to like 14-year-olds.
Right.
So
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's kind of brings on that type of marketing. But I mean, I don't know. I just think I don't know. I think when I look at this Chiefs team, I mean, I know like it's just something that's just expected. I mean,
right.
There are pressure situations, and I think as the year progresses, you will definitely hear.
Right.
Stuff. And it gets and trust me, good or bad, it's going to come that way because I think about like after Christmas, and I think we talked about this on the AFC West preview. After Christmas, that was like a huge headline. Like when they lost to the Raiders, they like, oh, will this team make it back? Trust me, they're gonna. It's gonna spike up. Let them like lose and let them Hell, let them lose next Wednesday against the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. They'll talk. It's gonna wrap up. It's gonna ramp up for sure.
Right.
And Lord, and they do. You talk about Super Bowl week. Super Bowl week is gonna be nothing but flooded with those type of things. Like, yeah. So oh, they'll get it. They're gonna get it eventually. Yep. All right. So who is your comeback player of the year? I'm
giving it to the Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson. He got hurt last year. I think he, looking at it, I'm sure he's like, man, we could have made the playoffs if I'd have been playing, and I might have been rookie of the year. So I'm giving it to him.
All right. I gotta give it to the guy that ends our intro every week. You like that? Give me Kirk Cousins. Obviously, I think when you look at coming off the Achilles injury, the success of the Atlanta Falcons, And Anthony Richardson, I thought about it's a lot of guys. I mean, I thought about Joe Burrow. I thought about because it was kind of that's kind of like how I want to put Joe Burrow even in the MVP kind of conversation as well too. Because I still think they're 11-6. They could be a game away from potentially, being AFC North champions potentially. So And then I wanted to put Aaron Rodgers in the mix, but I was like, no, I'm gonna make him the MVP. It was almost like kind of shuffling like puzzle pieces, and that's what that's what I had it for that. So I definitely think it's going to be Kirk Cousins. It's going to be my comeback player of the year.
Can I ask one question before we move on?
Yeah.
Who you feel like is the NFL player that has the most pressure to be successful this year?
Lamar Jackson.
Okay. I got Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, especially from a money standpoint. Yeah, because he got 3 years left on that team. I think how many years? 2 or 3 years. But it's the Ravens because at this point, I mean, you look at it. Last year was their best chance at beating Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you hosted the AFC Championship game. You had a fantastic defense. You pretty much had everything. I mean, you had a great season, and then for it to kind of come back. And not to quote Nick Saban, but football isn't and I know we always kind of talk about football like more so in the like how it continues, like it's a continuum, where essentially like what we think what can happen the previous year can kind of carry over on to the next and vice versa. And I know I use that a lot, but like even like when Nick Saban says a lot, in football, there's no, that doesn't normally happen. So now kind of getting back to that that level again. And now you have 2 MVPs under your belt. So it's kind of one of those where you are already kind of at that level as far as when we think about the Patrick Mahomes is, the Aaron Rodgers, the current players who have had multi MVP awards. You're in that realm, and those guys have won Super Bowl. Well, Aaron Rodgers won 1 Super Bowl, then Patrick Mahomes won what? 3? Yeah, he won 3. So, yeah, and it's just, it's gonna, he got the most pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I said Deshaun Watson. We all know why. And it's not even to like make it to the play. I think just to make it through the season and be successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And your boy Jameis there. Jameis.
Don't slip up, boy.
Jameis Winston, man. I can't. That's one person who I really want his career to be expedited so he can be on somebody's television, because that dude is hilarious. Like, he's got to be signed to somebody. I need his career to be expedited, and we need to see him on a television screen somewhere. If he ain't there, he'll be preaching on a Sunday. I can see him even being like a preacher. I know one thing, he's gonna be a speaker in some regard. I don't know if he's gonna be a media thing. I don't know if he'll be a motivational speaker, or will he be essentially a pastor? Because Jameis can get you going. Jameis is a character.
Right.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna be a coach somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. He could be coaching. Yeah. Because we need that type of spark from a guy like him. So rounding out our NFL preview. So there's a big game in February coming up, and we got Super Bowl 59. We've already talked about essentially who we have going to Super Bowl. We both have the Kansas City Chiefs and Detroit Lions going to the Super Bowl. So Maui, who is your Super Bowl 59 winner?
I got the Kansas City Chiefs making history. Want me to give you a score?
Yeah, you can do the score. Yeah, we can do the score.
All right. So we all know what's going to happen. It's going to go to the last drive. They was tied at 24-24. Actually, I'm sorry. I had it 27-24. and Patrick Mahomes did his little quarterback sneak, acting like he's hurt, and ended up throwing the touchdown, ended up being 31-24.
30. Okay, so it's 31-24.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And saying, like you said, it's going to be historic if they do pull off that beat. I think what's going to be even more historical, I got Detroit Lions winning their first ever Super Bowl in their history. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in our lifetime.
Right.
Why not? Why not the Detroit Lions when you have a situation where you are going against history? You can make history.
Right.
Bump that three-peat. We can make history. We were the laughing stocks all these years. Think about all of this, everything, and it's just to a point where, these Lions fans, they need this type of this historic moment for the days of Peyton Manning throwing seven touchdowns on Thanksgiving. Could you imagine being a Lions fan and getting a beat down like that at 12:30 in the afternoon on Thanksgiving, and then having to be with your family the whole rest of the day? Think about those days of all those days where Detroit was a laughing stock. Dan Orlovsky runs and get a safety. You were 0-18. People were making montages to the late Sinead O'Connor. Nothing compares to you. This is it. This is the time for the Detroit Lions. This is going to be a 31-28. Jake Bates is going to kick a 55-yard field goal. In New Orleans all the way to Detroit, Michigan. You're going to hear that, and you're going to hear the roar of that crowd, and you're going to hear history. I got the Detroit Lions denying the Kansas City Chiefs of their historic moment and creating their own historic run. Matt Miller isn't walking through that door. Dan Orlovsky's not walking through that door.
Right.
Nobody's walking through that door. Matt Patricia's not walking through that door.
Hey. They're gonna have little Meech walk running out the tunnel with the Lions. Right. Word.
This a new Lions team. You make fun of all you want. No. We here. It's the Detroit Lions, and it's going to be a celebration like no other. An historic run.
It's historic for this. Yeah, it's historic for them just being there. So that's their big thing. Ooh, we made it. Them Chiefs gonna run out there like, just go ahead and knock this out the park.
And that's why I think that's why I'm really strong about this Detroit team, because even though I look at their story where I don't necessarily think that they're just happy to get there. I think they're still pissed off about what happened in the NFC Championship. They literally was a quarter away from making the Super Bowl. We could have literally had this matchup last year if it wasn't for that fourth quarter collapse. Dan Campbell gonna have that team focused. They're gonna be ready, and I don't necessarily think they have essentially said, and they probably think last year was a failure. I guarantee you they're coming into this year hungry and wanting more. So
because they rehired all the coaching staff, right?
Everybody came back. Yeah, everybody came back. They had interviews, and like Ben Johnson, as far as Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So those guys were hot commodities, and they're going to continue to be hot commodities. But hey, they seen something special in this team. Why? Ben Johnson, I know he was linked to the Washington job. I know Aaron Glenn was potentially linked to the Seattle job. And they're like, why would I go there, rebuild, and I'm here where we have a shot? And I definitely think Detroit they're not just happy to get there. They just
Right.
not. They want to lead. They want to lead the dance with the prettiest girl at the dance. They're not just there because I want to look. I look clean. I smell nice. I got a nice suit and everything. No, I came here to get the pretty girl, which is the Lombardi Trophy. I got the Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen in our lifetime. It's got to happen. It's got to happen.
I ain't mad at you. I didn't think that was right because when they played, didn't the Cowboys wasn't it a bad call or something like that? Controversial call.
Yeah, it was about. Yeah, it was. Because I think it was like an alleged.
I think it was eligibility. Yeah, ended up being
because the lineman was supposed to be he was supposed to be a receiver or something like that.
Right.
I think he signaled for it, but they didn't. Yeah. I guess for some reason they ignored it. But yeah.
And the crazy thing about it is like the ref was like he didn't like and then oh my god, that was about 2 weeks of them, showing that he did. It was like
But yeah, and I think even like all of it, like even I look at just even last year's playoff run when they could have easily folded against Matt Stafford last year because Matt Stafford came back to Detroit. A very highly emotional game. They pulled that through, and then you look at like when they beat Tampa Bay, and I said, this Detroit team, they're ready. And I think even last year with the success, they still are hungry for more.
I ain't mad at you on that.
I don't. That's why I think, and that's why I think that's why I had them really at 13 and 4. And I think this year is going to be personal. And I think, and it's going to be the other way around. They're going to be biting your kneecaps. So you better have your mouth guards and everything and your polydent and all that. Because
I got 13-4 too.
Yeah, so they essentially have the best record in the NFL on my end, both NFC and AFC. So yeah, and they'll host a home NFC Championship game. I think, in my personal opinion, yeah, they legit.
I got them tied, but yeah, they legit. I the same reason I gave them that is because of what happened last year. It's like, okay, we got there, and for us to really have success, we cannot make any mistakes. We have to damn near play perfect football. And if we don't, they'll try to take it from us. You know what I mean? And once I heard that the whole coaching staff and then listen to the players to say, man, that's the best thing about this. We already know what we need to do. We all understand we got, that's how you build your chemistry. I was like, oh yeah, they got a good chance to
Yeah. Because I don't really see no clear cut in the NFC, especially now with everything that's going on with San Francisco. They still hold out with Trent Williams. Is still it's scary for San Francisco, and it's kind of a relief for all of us in the NFC for real.
Right.
But I look at that, and then I obviously this whole situation with IU. So it's kind of because if they don't have Trent. And that's another one where they're gonna have to sign Trent. They're gonna eventually sign him because they're gonna see because Brock Purdy gonna get crushed like a guy like a Trent Williams. You can even tell even in some of the games that he missed. I know especially like in the game when they lost to Minnesota on Monday Night Football last year. You can tell like and I think Debo was out too and Trent Williams. So yeah, they gonna sign them eventually. It's just gonna be a matter of time, but it might be a little minute, but it's gonna happen.
Right.
They need him. They need him desperately, and they're gonna find out really soon. You need that.
Right.
Like was it the old saying they used to say, "Don't leave home." The Visa card, don't leave home without it. Same go with your left tackle. You can't leave him. You can't leave home without it. Because you need that left tackle. So,
like I said, man, you have success. You remember when y'all was losing, you had success. If you feel, unless you got a plan, if you're not gonna pay, trading. You know what I mean? Or Because they hold now, say, okay, cool, then you don't want to be here because we're not re-signing you. Get it over with, man. Stop dragging it. You ain't doing nothing but messing up the chemistry. Even if you do sign him, like how you really, you know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you just sign me? You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But hey, keep him chilling. That's all I gotta say. Hey, keep him where it's at. I mean, hey, especially if we gotta play y'all this potentially MLK weekend. Oh yeah, keep him down the whole season. And let us kind of let us go to Santa Clara on Martin Luther King weekend, and and get the Brock Purdy. It's gonna get ugly. Get your boy Cleveland. Cleveland get some edge out there. Get some penetration out that edge. It's gonna be a problem.
I'm ready for him to shine. I think he deserves it. I think he's been such a great team player, and yeah. I'm ready for him to just let loose.
Yeah, I think he's in a good situation too. I think even with San Francisco, he was a great situation as well. I think,
right.
Like I always talk about the Oakland situation was just a disaster. I think
right.
Any and everybody in that situation, it's like you should get a pass. Oh, you played from the Raiders it's like if you play from the Oakland Raiders from 2018 to 2021, you should be what is it? What would be the term? You're entitled to compensation. Because that was just a crap show, to say the least. But yeah, oh yeah, I definitely think he'll definitely shine in Washington, especially in this defense for sure. In this coming off the edge, so yeah, it's gonna be fun seeing him, and then he's closer to home too. So I know his family be able to see him, so that's a good thing, especially in this point of his career where you don't necessarily being this close to home isn't a distraction like as you were like if you were younger. I think, so yeah, I was looking at that type of stuff, like, especially when you go home, like your first go around, it's like it's a little tricky, but then but if you've been in a league like him, he got drafted 2019, so this is his 6th year, so I mean good. Yeah.
It's crazy.
2 years to go home, essentially.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Man, this was fun. This was fun. Yeah. Seriously. Because, you know what I'm saying? And luckily, I didn't throw none of the papers away, right? And my daughter had put them in a folder. And I was I was looking at the whole setup. I said, oh, hell yeah. So I wrote them down and circled them and made my own little chart. And I was like, oh, I'm capping. I was looking at it, but after we done seen a couple preseason games, I said, oh yeah, I'm capping. Some of these teams is not gonna be, especially but I ain't gonna speak on that. I'm gonna think positive.
Yes, preseason was fun. Even even watching the game Sunday on Washington versus New England, but it's kind of one of those things where it's interesting because it's weird because it was a good test because all right, because whoever playing Sunday was pretty much on the line. As far as guys who played Sunday,
right,
was still at the time a question mark to make the team, and most of the guys who necessarily played on Sunday aren't on the team anymore. So it's kind of one of the things where it's just an intrigue, and even and Martavius Bryant got cut, so and he made pretty much sealed the game for us on Sunday, and he didn't make the squad, so. It's kind of yes, but yeah, but that just shows you. That's the thing about the kind of beauty of the preseason. So
somebody gonna probably pick him up though,
possibly. But it's gonna be interesting, and that's another thing too. And then how as far as the cuts being made today, and then the waiver wire, and what Washington gonna do, in the next couple of days to kind of get this roster going. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a little fun, while we wait for next Thursday's game to start, and get. So what we are? What now? What's day? Tuesday. So we were 10 days away. 9 days. How many? 9 days away. Yeah, we 9 days away from the start of the NFL season. So yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, cannot wait. This is the best time of the year.
Right.
Best time of the year.
Right.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yeah. We here. And then Yep, and then next week a full slate of games. So, and we even got a Friday night game next Friday night, so that's gonna be wild.
Right.
So and a very historic Friday night football game, Friday night NFL game. But
Right.
So it'll be So we'll put a bow on our 11th annual Couch Coach Live NFL preview. Plug away, final thoughts, social media, upcoming project, what you got going on?
Final thoughts. So yesterday, man, I was going through Netflix and I saw Untold and my Toy, what's his name? My Tai? The catfish dude.
Manti Teo.
Manti Teo. I don't want to mess his name up. And I watched it again, and then I went over a friend's house, and her son is like a kind of like Chip. He loves football, hurt his leg, and now he's somewhat coaching. And I think he has passion for coaching. You know what I mean? And so she was really paying attention to it, and she was kind of like tripping how he got catfish and how he was a good guy and this and that. And the whole time I was just sitting there how his story was bigger than Lance Armstrong and Tiger Woods. Like that's how big, I was just sitting here and compared to now, because everybody gets scammed now in some type of way. You know what I mean? Like every day, phone calls, the whole nine. So then I watched Good Morning Football and I saw him on there and I was like, man, I was like, that's great. I was really happy to see Monier and being able to, because to me, I was like, for what he went through, he would be a great YouTuber, vlogger, or podcaster because of the empathy and the things that he would have based upon with the success that he had and how the media treated him and then his decisions. Because the first thing my friend said, he should have went to SC. He should have went to USC. That would have been better for him to go to Notre Dame because maybe he wouldn't have put himself in a predicament where he was at a place where there wasn't a lot of Polynesians, you know what I'm saying, that had his culture background, and so I just wanted to talk about that. It was just great to see him doing something else, you know what I mean? But my social media, Deshaun Morgan, Facebook, DT Morgan 78, Instagram. Great show, man.
Yeah. Once again, yep. And shout out to Manti Teo. Yep, he
Word.
Yeah, he's on the NFL Network.
Right.
Yeah, and once again, another great show. We went through essentially all of the NFL teams. Essentially, it's been a 4-week process. So we finally got through all the NFL previews. So so always you can check them out. Pretty much Facebook, Twitter, Instagram on the Couch Coach Live. Also YouTube as well. It's under the playlist of 2024 NFL preview. So we have all the previews there as well. Then also the website, couchcoachlive.com. You can go to the tab podcast and have all the podcasts that we've done there. And then also just check out other articles that we got posted on the site as well. So, yeah, this wraps up our NFL preview. And I guess we'll be back at our regular scheduled programming next. So we'll be back on Wednesdays under the lights. So we'll go back to our regular scheduled program. So we'll be back Christmas Eve. September 4th, the night before Chiefs and the Ravens on opening night of the NFL season. I forgot. Christmas is in December.
Right.
That's September the 5th. So
Right.
So so we're back here and man, we'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.
Welcome.